Hello, I'm so excited to be here today with a student of mine from 16 years ago. Hard for me to imagine that that much time has passed, but delighted to be sitting down with Jennifer Travis, just a crazy smart, super innovative student, now friend. And I'm very happy that you're able to take some time and join us today, Jennifer. Thank you.
Absolutely, Molly. I greatly appreciate the opportunity.
Well, it is my pleasure. And, I was thinking about this when I reached out to you that you were my thesis student back in 2005 when you were finishing our Walton Honors Program. And what really caught my attention with you is that you picked as a thesis topic something that we weren't even discussing in class, the world of private labels. And you saw that that was beginning to percolate in the industry and had an interest. And I clearly remember that when you defended your thesis, you were educating faculty on the world of private labels. And that was so fun for me to see a student with such confidence and knowledge.
It's wild to believe that it's been that long.
It
It is
is.
absolutely crazy.
And to think that we now live in an environment where private label is just an everyday term. But you were ahead of the curve.
100%.
Yes. So today you are the Director of Customer Development at Tyson Foods, working
Mhm.
primarily on the Walmart account. You have spent your career there and but not necessarily in Northwest Arkansas. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts on that time with Tyson and where you've worked with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's been 17 years. I started when I was in college at the University of Arkansas and had an internship with them. And after I graduated, I stayed in Northwest Arkansas for a year working in our marketing group, and then had the opportunity to move to Charlotte, North Carolina for 2.5 years, supporting our fresh poultry business with a customer out there. I came back to Arkansas for 1 year in a sales planning and support role, and then moved to central Pennsylvania for a year, supporting fresh poultry again, and then spent 3 years in Hoboken, New Jersey as the team leader for a big retailer that's based out of the Northeast. And I've been back in Arkansas now almost 6 years and on the Walmart team the entire time. I think one thing that I would say, and it was probably really good advice that I got early in my career, is that to be successful, sometimes you have to get uncomfortable. And
Mhm.
for someone who grew up in Arkansas, getting the opportunity to take those chances and live somewhere different is such a great way to strengthen your breadth of knowledge across the industry and in different areas. And if you're someone who loves to travel, it's a great way to better improve your ability to do quick trips in a different geography.
Especially when you're there on the East Coast and Northeast Coast, just so many things that are in easy transit. I bet that that was great fun to experience
Absolutely.
that. Well, I am ready to jump right into our focus on the shopper and how
Mhm.
they make this journey, specifically as we talked in online pickup and delivery, which has just exploded during this recent time. And I would love any thoughts that you can share on that.
Absolutely. I would say that this past year, all things e-com has completely exploded and accelerated at a rate that pre-pandemic, I don't think that any one of us would have imagined could happen that quickly.
Mhm.
So now everyone's thinking about it's not just about the shopper journey in the store, but how do we best influence shoppers when they're behind a computer screen or looking at their apps on their phone or on their iPad, and ensuring that you have your content appropriate to drag the right attention to your products.
Mhm.
One thing that we recognized early in the pandemic, which was interesting and a problem we'd never realized before, is that as retailers were struggling with out of stocks, some retailers like Walmart would have an auto unlist from their website because it's not in
Mhm.
stock. But the challenge is because of the way the algorithm was written, it wouldn't republish those to the website for many days, even if the item was in stock. So being able to gather those insights quickly, bring it to Walmart's attention so that they can correct it and help boost their overall e-com sales was an interesting learning for us. I think that the other thing that we've noticed is that we have to figure out how to influence online. And if you think about all of the different retailers, their platforms have different capabilities.
Mhm.
So, how do you unlock the value to ensure that your items do come up in the search appropriately? And different categories, consumers will search in different ways. So I think that we're on the forefront of really trying to understand how consumers are thinking, especially within different categories, because it's not one size fits all. From frozen to refrigerated or shelf stable or general merchandise, it's all so different.
It's funny you mentioned that. Last semester, my students did a retail store walk. It's something I do every other semester now.
Mhm.
And we're with Walmart buyers, merchants. And last semester it was wine, pet care, and frozen. And to see the different ways that people are searching for those products online really brought that learning to life. I had never given a great deal of thought to how different that pattern can be across categories.
It's interesting. And even as a consumer, I hadn't really thought about it. I remember when I was living in Hoboken, I used to use Fresh Direct, and Amazon Fresh had just started about probably 6 months before I moved. And I would get so frustrated when I would search for things and it wouldn't pop up. And I wouldn't be able to understand, why is it not coming up? This is a simple search. But then, like, fast forward 5 years later, and just seeing how much easier it is online, but at the same time, understanding why, when I searched this word, do I have these bizarre things
Mhm.
popping up as potential matches to my search, when to me it doesn't seem related at all. So I think a lot of retailers are learning very quickly in how their algorithms might have challenges that need to be resolved, so that they can have the best shopping experience online, similar to and how they approach the in-store shopping experience for a shopper.
So, as a former professor of yours, what I'm thinking as you speak is that we did not cover any of this in class. I mean, everything that you have mentioned has evolved in the marketplace in the last 16 years. And so I'm just curious what you do to stay on top of information. I'm sure you have all the Tyson training and resources there, but do you have personal things that you do to ensure that you're staying on top of these trends and resources and what the retailer capabilities are?
We definitely have subject matter experts that I can
Mhm.
leverage at Tyson to learn more. I do think what's interesting, because of the speed of which everything has changed in this past year, some of the best resources we have are people that we sit next to or people that we talk to, because everyone's shopping experience is a little bit different depending on what they are shopping for. And even small things, if you think about how quickly Walmart's OPD, online pickup
Mhm.
delivery app, is changing and evolving, and the ability to have substitutions, we'll be in staff meetings and someone will raise their hand and be like, "Hey, I was just doing my order last night. Have y'all seen this yet? This is now available." So it's interesting, because I think as an industry, we're probably really far behind
Mhm.
versus where we should be at this point. But the pace of change happened so rapidly that no one was really prepared for it. Now, with that, I would also say that many organizations have ramped up the investments that they are making in this space in effort to better educate themselves and best position themselves. Because right now is the prime time for acquisition for any of these online shoppers. And generally, most algorithms on these retailer sites, once it's in your basket once, the probability of it popping up as something that you're interested in purchasing increases. So it's best to make your investment today so that you're better off tomorrow in positioning your long term growth.
When I think about this and consider the revenue that Tyson has to invest on this, it's pretty overwhelming to think of, and the profit margins must shrink with each additional
Mhm.
outlay of money that you have to spend to stay on top of the training, the resources, building up your own capabilities. Um, I think, I guess my takeaway would be that we think of education of college as sort of the end point of learning. I've always thought of it as it's just the platform launching you into a lifetime of constantly learning new things.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that. I'm part of a transformation project that we have launched within Tyson, and it's happening across many of our functions. And it's really driven because of the pace of change, not only pandemic, but the environment we were already starting to move so quickly. As you think about data technology, everything's evolved so much and continues to evolve at a faster rate. But with that, we talk a lot about people development and within people development, what's important within our culture. And it really is a learning culture. We
Mhm.
are continuous learners. And I think that everyone is best positioned if you have that growth mindset to always be open to learning new things and staying ahead of things as best you can with everything we can expect to continue to come around technology, automation, artificial intelligence, all of the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff, exactly. So if we could close out with one piece of advice. I have primarily seniors still, a few juniors sprinkled in. So what advice would you give somebody just graduating now that could help them either prepare for an interview or really make the most of the opportunities in the workplace that are in front of them?
Oh, wow. I would say for preparation, I'll take them separately. But interview preparation to me, always think about how you can differentiate yourself
Mhm.
and be prepared to illustrate that as you go into the conversation. I think that what's interesting to me as I've interviewed many people over the past several years, at least 10 or more, um, the small things that you can do to set yourself apart are what really stands out when we're going through a calibration process and comparing one candidate to another candidate. So think about how can you differentiate yourself versus the candidate pool. And then the second thing that I would think about is how can you bring some sort of visualization of how you're thinking about something, because that really helps to support it as well. Now, as you think about just advice in
Yeah.
what I would have told younger me as I was graduating, um, be really open to any opportunity because you never know what you can gain. Keep an open mind when you take those opportunities and soak up as much knowledge as you can, because all of that is how you start to build the foundation of the breadth of knowledge that will carry you into the balance of your career.
This is so helpful. And I tell you, I love the thought of visually displaying your knowledge and your evidence in terms of how you're separating yourself from the next person. And teaching marketing majors and minors, I especially like hearing that because it all comes back to storytelling, right? And how best
100%.
to quickly say what your brand is. Jennifer, I know you have a crazy period of time going on right now, so I really appreciate you sitting down, letting my students see a moment in the life of a 2005 grad and where they are now. I greatly appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Best of luck to everyone.
Thank you so much.